Taking spoken stories passed down by his family and turning them into books with very vivid illustrations.
And this morning, we have a second installment of our Kin series highlighting Hispanic authors. Kin's 5 photojournalist Mike Vigil introduces us to writer and illustrator Xavier Garcia.
My name is Xavier Garcia. I am a writer and I am an illustrator, and I focus primarily on children's books and young adult books that deal with Hispanic, Latino themes, and with a lot of the stories that I heard as a kid growing up, Los Cucuys, also Lucha Libre. I've written and illustrated 20 books. I always loved to draw. Since I was a little kid, I tell people my first canvases were brown paper bags, but I also grew up surrounded by storytellers. My father, my grandfather, and so I kind of developed the idea of storytelling myself as a kid. The only thing that I do different from what my grandfather or my dad or my great-grandfather did, I'm a storyteller, but I also write it down. I tell stories, I do the drawings that go with the stories, and I combine them together to create books that hopefully when kids read them, they can relate to them. And almost everything I write is focused on things that I heard or myself experienced. Like I tell people, Lucha Libre. I grew up watching Lucha Libre, El Santo, Mil Máscaras, Blue Demon, all these great Lucha Libre heroes. Like, they say, well, why a luchador? What's so great about Lucha Libre? And I say, well, think about it. To a kid, they wear the tights, they wear the masks, they wear the capes. They're literally superheroes and supervillains come to life. And we look at them and we create adventures in our minds about these masked heroes. We never got the wonderful bedtime story before we went to bed. No handsome prince, no beautiful princess, no. We got the story of a woman that drowned her children in the river and then came back as a ghost and stole other children. And we would hear all these stories. We call them cucuys. That's what I write about. That's the stories that I tell, that's the experiences that I relate. And I tell students, these are stories that are very old. These are stories that were around when your grandfather was in diapers. And even by then, they were already old. And what I'm doing is I'm telling the story, keeping it alive, and they in turn will tell the story and they'll keep it alive. That is important to keep all these stories alive in the Hispanic culture. It's because they are a definition of who we are. Once the storyteller is gone, you kind of start to forget the story. But by writing it down, you know, your kids will read it, your grandkids can read it, and you know what? That history, that story builds pride in them. 10, 20, 30, 40 years, that writer, he or she's gonna be gone. But that book's still gonna be on a shelf somewhere. Some kid's gonna pick it up and they're gonna read that story, they're gonna look at those drawings, you know, they'll say, you know what, that's my story. If he can do it, I can do it too. It just brings a sense of pride, which is really what Hispanic heritage is about. It's about bringing forth this pride in our culture, our traditions, our music, our food, all the things that make us who we are.
You know, it's amazing. This is the second author in a row. Yesterday we heard from Carmen Tafoya and now from Xavier Garcia. Both of them said they were influenced by the stories they were told as children. And they always say, read to your kids, and you never know what's, you know, what they're going to come out to be. And look at him, both very successful authors influenced by childhood.
Well, I love the fact that he not only wrote the books, but he illustrates them himself as well. So that's cool.
Lots of talent.
All right, 6:41 now.